In October 1911, two teams of men stood at the edge of Antarctica, aiming for the same prize: the South Pole. No human being had ever reached it. Roald Amundsen led the Norwegians. Robert Falcon Scott led the British. Same continent, same season, same brutal cold. One team came home to glory. The other froze to death in a tent. And the difference between them fits in a single sentence. Amundsen marched about 20 miles a day. Every day. That's it. That's the secret that decided everything. Listen to how strange that discipline really was. On good days, when the sun was out and the ice was smooth and his men felt strong, Amundsen stopped early. His team begged to push on. 20 miles, he said, and they camped. And on terrible days, when the wind cut like wire and every step burned, he still got his men up and out. 20 miles, no more on the good days, no less on the bad ones. Scott ran his race the opposite way. On clear days, his team surged until they were spent. On rough days, they stayed in their tents, waiting for the weather to turn, losing ground and eating supplies. Sprint and stall, feast and famine. Whatever the day gave them, they took. And the pace wasn't the only difference. It was a symptom of something deeper. Amundsen prepared like a man who assumed the worst. He'd spent years learning from the masters of cold, watching how native Arctic peoples traveled, dressed, and handled dogs.
He built his whole plan on sled dogs, animals proven in polar ice for centuries. He laid his supply depots early and marked them with flags stretched in long lines across the ice, so a storm couldn't hide them from a team pushed off course. Scott bet on ponies that sank in the snow and motor sledges that cracked in the cold. And when both failed, his men hauled their own sleds, by muscle, across a frozen continent. One man engineered away his bad days before they came. The other net his bad days with hope. You already know how this ends. But sit with why. Amundsen reached the pole in December 1911, right on schedule, and his men came back strong. Scott arrived over a month later, beaten to the prize, and the return march broke his team, one man at a time. Scott and his last companions died in their tent, 11 miles from a supply depot. 11 miles. About half of one disciplined day. Now bring this off the ice and into your life, because you're in a long march too. The career, the body, the savings, the marriage. And if you're honest, which explorer do you train like? Most men are Scott. Be honest, 2 hours in the gym in January, nothing by March. A brutal work sprint, then 2 weeks of coasting. A budget kept perfectly until one bad weekend erases it. Motivated men, sprinting and stalling, wondering why 5 years pass and the needle hasn't moved. The 20-mile march wins for 2 reasons, and you need both. The first is obvious. Showing up on the bad days is discipline, and everyone praises it. Do the workout when it rains. Make the calls when you'd rather hide. Write the page when the words won't come. But the second reason is the one nobody tells you. Restraint on the good days. Stopping at 20 when you feel like 30. That's what saves you. The man who sprints when he feels great is borrowing from tomorrow. He wakes up sore, or burned out, or sick of the whole project, and the streak dies. Amundsen's genius wasn't effort, it was holding effort steady, like a thermostat, so his men could do it again tomorrow, and the day after, for 4 months straight. So ask yourself the question that matters. What's your 20 miles? Not your dream pace, your every single day pace. The workout you can do on your worst day. The number of pages, of calls, of dollars saved that survives a sick kid and a hard week. Pick a pace you can hold through a storm. And then, this is the hard part, hold yourself to it when the sun comes out. Because here's what the ice teaches. The weather doesn't decide who reaches the pole. The march does. Scott's men had courage. They had strength. They had heart. What they didn't have was a pace. And courage without a pace is just a longer way to die tired. 11 miles from the depot. That's what a life of sprint and stall leaves on the table. Don't be the man who quits 11 miles short of everything he wanted. Set your 20 miles. March it today. March it tomorrow. Let the motivated men sprint past you in January. You'll pass their tents in March.